Hey guys, Ambience here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to beat Vent Repair in FNaF VR Help Wanted. We'll be going over both the Mangle and Ennard levels as well as their blacklight counterparts, so jump in and let's get to work. First up, Mangle's level is pretty simple, and if you know what you're doing, can be completed really quickly. You're in a cramped elevator and your goal is to complete a series of tasks while repelling Mangle in the vents. Press the button next to the forward vent to cause hand unit to start rambling and get ready to move quickly in a minute. Since you're already watching a guide, go ahead and skip the tutorial, or don't. I'm just your substitute phone guide, not your dad. Either way, the lights will glitch out and the front vent shaft will open, revealing another button. Hit that and then pull the lever that pops out and Mangle will take a good sniff of your face before scuttling away. Now your headlamp is turned on, the right vent opens as well, and the segment begins proper. You need to flip a switch on the ceiling in the right vent and then pull another lever on the left side of the same area. Every now and then, look directly down each vent. If Mangle is crawling toward you, the headlamp will repel her when it's pointed right at him. Also, make sure your volume is turned up. You can hear Mangle banging around in the vent when she's on her way. As long as your volume is up and you don't hear him banging around in there, then you should be fine to focus on your tasks. Speaking of which, let's get back to those. A few seconds after flipping those levers, a valve will start leaking steam above the right vent. Adjust it, then adjust the one just below the left vent. After that, hit the glowing button above the forward vent and flip the lever that appears next to the vents. At this point, the left vent will open, meaning it's time for the final stretch. Flip up the panel inside the left vent, then lean into the vent to see the blinking circular thing beneath the cover. If you're on flat mode, don't worry, you can still lean by just looking around until your cursor becomes an eye-looking thing and then pressing a button. You need to lean long enough to see the circle show a full set of 4 colors in quick succession. It resets indefinitely whenever it finishes, so there's no rush, just make sure you catch it beginning to end or use process of elimination if you only see 3 colors to determine which one is first or last. If you hear Mangle in the vents while doing this, lean back out and look down all 3 vents as quickly as you can, then go back to what you're doing when it's safe. Once you know the color combination, input it using the buttons next to the circle. There's no penalty for getting it wrong other than having to input it again, so take your time if needed. Once you get it correct, you can flip the switch that pops out next to it, and you're done. Easy as that.
A perfect 72 degrees. Good job. See you next time.
The blacklight version is very similar, but definitely more difficult. Aside from the usual weird coloring, there's a few other changes, such as there's no tutorial, all 3 vents will be opened immediately, all of the levers, valves, and buttons will instantly be accessible in any order, Mangle is much faster, and oh yeah, there's now 2 of them. Yep, you heard that correctly. Start this level now and get 2 Mangles for the price of 1 or your money back, folks. What a bargain. These bozos aren't very efficient, but they sure as hell are annoying. While you could easily speedrun through the original level if you knew where everything was, you'll probably be checking the vents wildly every few seconds now, constantly keeping you on your toes and interrupting the tasks. Because of how frequently they attack, I recommend doing the tasks as you look around for the Mangles instead of vice versa. Just pull switches and turn valves as you look around through the vents, basically. Also, make sure your headlamp is pointing directly at them. It can be a bit finicky sometimes and not repel them properly if you just look in their general direction. Once Mangle starts retreating, when you look at her though, you can look away and focus on something else as soon as the animation starts. You don't need to wait until he disappears completely. Other than that, just stay calm and go through each of the tasks. While you can do them in any order this time, I prefer to try and keep the same order since it helps me remember what I still need to interact with. Things will be pretty hectic with both Mangles swarming you from all sides, so it's good to keep a routine. Just make sure to repel them immediately when you hear them in the vents though. They're really fast this time, so you may have to stop in the middle of trying to complete a task. That's no big deal, take it slow and steady. Once you flip the final lever on the left, the minigame will end as normal. Okay, now let's talk about Ennard. This is a much more complicated challenge as you'll have to complete a series of puzzles relatively quickly that are a little bit counterintuitive or overwhelming sometimes. There are 3 different types of puzzles, which are wires, gears, and pipes, and once Ennard shows up, it puts quite a bit of pressure on you to find the correct solution in a hurry. If you want to go in blind, then I'd say it makes for one of the best horror experiences in the game, but if you've been stuck here for a bit and just want the optimal solutions, then here you go. The first wire puzzle is super casual since Ennard is nowhere in sight on either version, but I want to use it as an example to show you a tactic that makes this level super simple and consistent. If you've ever seen a speedrun of this level, you might have noticed that most runners can solve the puzzle in seconds flat without even looking at the wires. If you're a normal person who doesn't watch FNaF speedruns, you might be wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Basically, each fuse box corresponds to a certain button, and it's always the same. The only thing that changes is the order that the fuse boxes light up in. Let's label each of the fuse boxes from left to right with a number, like in this picture. So let's say that, like in this gameplay, fuse 2 lights up first, then fuse 1, then 3, and then fuse 4. The order of buttons to press would be from left to right, button 1, then 4, then 2, then 3. If you memorize this or pull the image up on your phone or second monitor or whatever while you're playing, then you can get the correct order super quickly without even tracing the wires. As soon as you see a fuse light up, bam, you can hit the right button. And this seemed a bit complex for something that's already pretty simple when I first heard about it, but as soon as I got it, it made total sense. Here's a simpler graph for the first puzzle so you don't have to look around everywhere. And this is really all you need to know. Fuse 1 is button 4, Fuse 2 is button 1, Fuse 3 is button 2, and Fuse 4 is button 3. You can take as long as you want on the first two puzzles and press the wrong buttons with no real penalty, so make sure you understand this because it will guarantee safe passage on the third one. It's really helpful. Here's the combo for the second puzzle. You can use whichever style of graph you find easier to read. Once you get past the first two, Ennard will spawn in and things get serious. He'll be lurking in the background every time the lights flash, but there's no need to worry. He's on a set timer for when he can jump scare you, and you should have roughly about a minute to spare. As long as you move relatively quickly and don't hit the wrong button 3 times, then you'll be fine. Here's the combo for this one. I had to split it into 2 different images because of how big the room is, but you get the idea. You'll need to lean forward to see the fuses, by the way. Even if you trace the wires like you're supposed to in the other rooms, I definitely recommend using the guaranteed combo here because there is the chance of a game over if you take too long and the wires are much harder to see. Oh, and one more thing, if you accidentally press the wrong button, do not press it again immediately. The puzzle will be reset and the current fuse box might change. Make sure to look again to see if it's different before pushing a button again. Once you finish the wire puzzles and said hello to Ennard, you'll take a long elevator ride down to the gears puzzle. There's only one of these, thankfully, and it's pretty simple, although Ennard will be waiting around to kill you if you take too long again, so there's that. No problem, we can get through this pretty quick. Look at the left panel first. You'll want to grab the small gear on the platform and place it on the empty spot so that it connects to the other gears. This will cause the medium gear to appear on a conveyor belt and land on the platform. Take the medium gear and put it in the nearest position in the middle panel to cause the gate to move out of the way. Then take the small gear again and put it on the top right area that the gate moved to uncover. Finally, put the medium gear on the top left and the large gear will come out on the middle conveyor belt. Once it's on the platform, move the medium gear back to the center to get rid of the gate again. Take the large gear, look over to the right panel, and place it in the leftmost position. When you turn back to the middle, make sure to take the small gear first so it doesn't get blocked by the gate, and place it in the lowest position on the right. Take the medium gear and put it in the final position next to the large one, and you'll complete the puzzle and ascend to the boiler room. There are 2 boiler puzzles, and they both have consistent solutions, so this is probably the easiest part of the whole night, actually. For the first one, you'll want to press the first 3 buttons once each. For the second one, you'll want to press the second button once, and then rotate the whole thing 3 times. If you mess up somehow, you can just press the button again however many times to rotate it back to the way it was originally. Last but not least, hit the final button to set Ennard ablaze and beat the level. Blacklight mode has the same basic process, but changes some things. The most important of which being that if you're in VR, you're flipped completely upside down. I have no idea why this is a thing at all, let alone why it's not also the case in flat mode, but it definitely makes me a bit nauseous to play through. Thankfully, I didn't even have the chance to record VR gameplay this time, so we'll stick to flat mode. If you're playing in VR and want to see some expert gameplay that reflects your experience though, I highly recommend this video by the master himself, DJ Sturf, that'll link in the description and cards. He does an excellent job of explaining how to navigate like this in VR. For now though, here's what changes on both versions. Thankfully, the wire combinations stay the same as in normal mode, although you'll have to take into account the flip perspective if you're in VR, of course. The second puzzle now has Springtrap crawling toward you, meaning that you now have a time limit, and the strictest one in the whole level at that, so make sure you have the combination memorized when you get here. Aside from that, it will be a bit harder to see because of all the animatronic parts strewn everywhere, so pay close attention and remember the combos in advance. Lastly, the boiler combinations seem to be completely randomized this time for whatever reason, so take a good look at the puzzle before you start pressing buttons and just use common sense and logic. If you're a FNaF fan who came over from Twitter or the subreddit, then that last part might be somewhat of a foreign concept to you, but I believe you can acquire those skills with time. Just in case, here's how both puzzles are supposed to look when you complete them. That's pretty much it, y'all. Just memorize puzzle solutions, use your logic when needed, and stay frosty, unlike Ennard when you finish the level. Good luck, and if you have any further questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you'd like updates on what I'm doing next, advice on anything to do with FNaF, or just a cool place to chat with some other viewers, then I suggest joining the Discord server linked in the description. If you enjoyed this guide and you'd like to see more, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel to show your support. I know you've heard it a million times, but it really does help me out. The channel's been doing excellent recently and we're fast approaching 35k, so help me get there and I'll help you through whichever nights you plan on tackling next. With that being said, thank you guys for watching this guide, I hope it helped you, and I will see you in the next one.